this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts with tag number 4 of my 12 tags of Christmas. That is me using my new and maybe some older Lavinia stamps to create some Christmas tags. So I've already gone ahead and I've stamped, I think this is Thistle Whisk, can't even say his name properly, or maybe I have, onto the tag here because I wanted the VersaFine to dry for me to colour it in now. This time I have stamped him in black. In the previous videos I used the pine cone, which is a dark brown, which is also nice. And because I used my watercolour pencils in the last videos, I thought I'm going to use my colour pencils here. These are the Black Widow ones in this video. I've got a selection of 2, which is the Black Widow one and the Scorpion one. You don't need those, they're nice colouring pencils, but you can use some plain ones. You can use other mediums to colour this. I did not want to use alcohol markers on these tags because they will bleed through, but you can do that, use alcohol markers and then put another tag on the back to basically hide whatever is bleeding through. So I'm doing some very, very basic colouring because we've got a lot of shading already going on here, so I don't need to worry about that too much. So I've just got 2 colours of brown, mainly go in the back a little bit with a darker brown, and these are fairly soft pencils. I've also just sharpened some of them for the finer details. So that's all I would do to that, and I want to colour in the, I'm not even quite sure what you call this with an umbrella, the stick maybe. So then I've got like a, this is called dark tan, which is more like an ochre colour for the front here. I will most likely come in with some Posca pencil, something like that afterwards, but I really just want to do some basic colouring on this here now. And then I've got the like a red here. This is a ladybug for the umbrella here, and I'm just painting over all these little dots because I will colour them in again afterwards. And I'm even colouring in the underneath, although that's almost black. And then I've got a bit of pink here, delicious pink this is called, for the ear, and I like a bit of pink on the cheek. Yeah, I might even do a little red there because it doesn't show up very well. So, and that's all I'm doing to this. So let me just lift this up. Can you see? So nothing fancy going on there at all. So, and the technique I'm showing today, I've done this before on my channel. It was just a quick technique video, and I'm going to use some Vaseline or petroleum jelly to cover this image so that I can then stamp with my gel plate. So I'm just, you can apply this with your fingers, but I'm just thinking I've got fine details, so I will actually get a brush out to apply this. So I will just take a little bit out. You can put that on a tile. I will just put it on the back of my hand here. I probably don't even need a lot. Take this off as well, and then I can basically cover the image, especially the bits I have just coloured in. You can be generous with that because, well, you want it flat, but you can be generous because we will wipe the residue off afterwards. So I'm not bothering too much about the dark pores here because they won't show up anyway. So I'm lifting this up to hold this against the light to see if I applied the Vaseline everywhere where I've coloured in. So I mustn't forget, although no, I will paint this in afterwards anyway, but I mustn't really forget to top it. So I'm going to get my gel plate out now, and then I'll show you how we do the stamping. So I decided to go for the blue atoll. I think that will pop nicely with the brown and the red. So I'm just inking up my brayer doesn't look very juicy, but it might be. So, and I'm just applying this on here generously, although I'm sort of conscious that the tag is rather small. And when you do that, when you ink up your brayer, make sure you lift it up. You don't want it don't want to push it down too much, and you want to blend this. And ideally I would have put some white cardstock underneath so you could have seen how much ink is actually on there. So, and then I'm getting my water bottle, and I just want to mist this a little bit, just to get a little bit of a pattern on there. Got a bit of a blob there, because I actually just used the leftover petroleum jelly on my hands and the bottle slipped. So I will actually try to soak that one drop up just with a bit of kitchen towel. That'll do. So, and then I can press this onto my gel plate. If you have paper on the top, you can use the gel press upside down onto the cardstock, but I think this will do me. I will just get some scrap paper so that I don't get my fingers inky with the ink that's outside the tag. And there you can see how much ink was actually on there. So, and then I can lift this up. And can you see what lovely pattern we get? And the idea is that where I've got the petroleum jelly, that worked as a resist, so there's no ink on that now. So I can set this aside. Don't forget to put your gel plate straight back into your packaging so it doesn't dry up. I will actually just clean it up with this, and then I can put it away properly. I can now use my heat tool to dry the tag, but also to remove the leftover petroleum. So I'm just going to warm this up. Sorry about the noise. So I'm using a kitchen towel to basically soak this up. Oops. It's a bit tricky with just two hands, so it's easier for me to apply the pressure like this. I don't know if you saw that. This is how much the ink actually came off that was sitting on the top. So, and I can actually, now that it's sort of taken off, I can give that a little bit of a wipe. And can you see the result? I think this is great. I got the idea because I saw this, is it called micro glaze? And I thought it looks like petroleum jelly, so I might just as well use what I have. So all I need to do now is to pick a few pens and do some colouring on the umbrella, give him a little bit of a base, and then I think the tag is almost ready. I try not to use the same pens all the time, but I'm actually coming back to my Mangaka opaque liner that I got from the Lavinia stamps shop because I think it's fabulous. It doesn't clog like Posca sometimes does, and it's lovely and opaque, so I can use that to colour in all these spots. You can obviously do them in different colours, but I like the fact that this brolly looks like a toadstool. So I just, ideally though, I would have my glasses on so I can see where I need to put these. Although it doesn't really matter if you don't fill them all in. Just try to have a little bit of a variation between bigger dots and smaller ones. So I think I'll give it a try to put him a little dot in the eye there. And then I think he needs a little bit of a red nose. And then he needs a little bit of a base. So I'm just coming in with a brown again, sticking with the same colours. These are very soft pencils, so it's easy for me to move that out. Maybe bit of a shade from the tail there. Try to get this straight. come in with a bit of a thicker application there. So I'm just thinking whether I want something for the mouse to look at, or whether he's just looking at this sort of snow that I created with a gel plate, or whether I want a Merry Christmas on this. I'll have a really short think about this, and I'll be back in a sec. I have decided to add a little branch from the winter foliage set, which is this one here, and to add one of the little fledglings on there. And because it's just gel press, there's no petroleum jelly there, it should be easy to stamp this. There's nothing hindering it, but I think it's quite nice for the mouse to look at something. If I had planned that ahead, I could have moved the mouse a little bit to the side and giving this a little bit more space, but I really just want this to sit off the edge, and with it being a silhouette stamp, I think it'll be really nice. So that's all I wanted there. And then I will go for this one, looking at the mouse, maybe even, it's quite a big bird actually, but we'll go for it now. So I'm wondering whether he's looking down, so I'll try to sit him here. If he overlaps the branch, it doesn't matter, because it's obviously a silhouette stamp. Yeah, I like that. So it's really just a little something, and there was a branch going up, but it doesn't matter because it's a silhouette stamp. So I'm just blotting this. I'm trying to get into the habit, because Joe Rice says it's really good to do that so we don't smear. And then I want to come in, yeah, a bit came off there, and then I want to come in with a white pen again, just to have a few highlights on that bird as well. I'm just thinking where the highlights would be. I will, bit undecided today. Normally I like a bit of snow on the back actually. I will have a little bit of snow on the branches as well. Hope I'm not going off camera. I should zoom in a little bit for you, because we're working on such a small scale. So, do I want a white eye? Nope, I tell you what I do. I like to use my black gel pen for that. And although it's black on black, because it's a shiny pen, it does show up actually on black. So I'm just making sure there's nothing bleeding there. And I'll just pop a single dot there. Let me just show you that on camera. Can you see? And it will dry like that. It will dry shiny. So yeah, I think I'm pleased with that. I'm going to add some ribbon after filming. I'm going to leave that eye to dry, otherwise I'm a bit worried I will mess it up. But yeah, that's tag number 4 of my 12 tags of Christmas. I will put a link to the playlist below so you can see the other videos if you haven't seen them yet. Yeah, and I'll see you again soon for part number 5, or rather tag number 5.